Our first talk is on an incredibly important subject, 1 year of moderation. It's going to be presented by Antonio and Oli. Antonio has contributed to the Rust project in various forms since 2018, particularly on the compiler team. And Oli has also been a compiler team member for several years, working on Rust full-time for 5 years, and is currently employed to work on Rust via the RustNL Maintainers Fund. So I'm really looking forward to this. I hope you all are too. And let's give them a good hand as they get started.
Hey everyone, I'm Oli, and
I'm Antonio. Hi.
And we are both mods. And as been said, Anto has been doing moderation for a year now. I've been doing it for a bit longer. And today I'm gonna start off with telling you all about how the structure of the mod team even looks like, what we changed, and how things are working. To start off with, we have a bunch of spaces that we're moderating. We have the users forum, users.rustlang.org. We have the internals forum. We have the Zulip, where most of our conversations are happening. We have GitHub, obviously, where most of our code development and tracking of long-term things are happening. We used to have a Discord. We don't anymore. If you know about a Rust Discord, that's the community Discord. Which is really cool, and which we're glad that is doing the Discord space, and then we don't have to also moderate another Discord space. Last year, we were 2 moderators, and those 2 moderators had to moderate the entirety of the spaces that we had in the Rust project. There was also the users forum and the internal forum, which was moderated by Stefan and Nodriddle. But like the other spaces, the old Discord and so on, they were just 2 moderators, and we were quite not keeping up with everything that was going on. So what we changed was that we split the moderation team into a venue mods, which is for Zulip and GitHub, and into a more mediation-focused moderation team, which is the normal team moderation team that we've always had. So the venue mods are a new thing. They have powers to quickly resolve the day-to-day business that's happening when people are just posting like advertisements on GitHub or something. They can just get rid of that. And the users forum and the internals forum, there hasn't been really any changes there, except that I'm now also more active there, and we're trying to keep up with everything that's coming in. So that's the spaces, but the more important thing is the people actually doing all of that. So we have Natri, we have Frank, and me, who are doing the mediation and generally helping out with other things when they're necessary. We have Anto, we have Juksu, we have Nora, who are doing like day-to-day business on GitHub and Zulip. Just when you ping mods on GitHub, that gets everyone's attention, but these are the main people that will then focus on it. And Frank and Nodriddle are handling the users forum and everything that's happening there. The internal forum is very safe space, apparently, because apparently nobody goes there that's trying to spam us. So it's only really internal people. Similarly, the Zulip, they're pretty, we don't get much problems there, but like they're still in need of moderation. So what's actually going on? Like what are the things coming in? And a year ago, when I recruited venue mods, that was a valid question. They asked me like, how much work do I have to do? And I was like, we're getting like 1 or 2 spam things like a week or something. Like, and these are like obvious, you just click them away. And sometimes there's something more important, you forward it to the moderation, like just be like the front line, but there's not much happening. Well, fast forward 1 year, we're getting slop announcements on the users forum where people are literally posting something that is 3 hours old. We're getting every now and then some PRs to the Rust project, which are people who are posting 100 PRs within like 5 hours across various repositories. We still get classical spam, but now we get more classical spam, which is weird. And the mediation issues that the mediators are handling, there are actually not that many coming in, but there are obviously some things that take longer because they're figuring out how our project members can work together, because sometimes technical disagreements can turn into heated arguments, which we then need to make everybody work with each other again and not be frustrated with each other. So, yeah. As I said, we did some structural changes, and the important things here are this explicit split between the team moderation team and the Zulip GitHub venue mods. And the reason I'm repeating this again here is that you need to know where you have to go when you want to report something. Like worst case, you just report it to any of these people. But if there's no rush or anything, when you're sending an email to the mods at rustlang.org, that goes only to the mediators. The rest of the venue mods don't see those. We might forward them to them if it's just a normal topic there. But like this is how you definitely reach only the mediators. Similarly, a team moderation ping or a DM on Zulip to team moderation will only go to the mediators. The venue mods, they get reached if you use the Zulip report button. That's a new thing since a few months. Please use it extensively. Whenever you see something, just report it immediately. We can filter out things. Just use it so we get actual data and we actually see when things are happening. And similarly, you can ping just mods, like @mods, both on Zulip and on GitHub. And that will get the attention of the entire venue mods group, and then we'll be handling that situation there. The users forum is actually something that has actual moderation tooling, which is amazing. Please GitHub, do that too. This has like report buttons. This has proper moderation, a queue of incoming things. This manages all these pesky tasks that we need to do manually on GitHub and Zulip. So on the users forum, just use the flags whenever you see something, then we can handle it. We are fairly reactive here, but Anto is going to talk later a little bit about how we can also do things differently. When there are conflicts between moderators, you might not feel entirely comfortable with just going to the entire mediators group and talking with them. So we also have some backup mods. We sometimes also grab team leads from various teams, like from the compiler team or from the Lang team. And then we have their conversations there. You can also recommend someone if you want someone else to talk with mods about an issue that you're having. We are very open to various ways for you to handle the problems that we have, and we want to help you handle these problems. We don't want them to linger and become a bigger problem in the future. Yes, please reach out to us when you have problems. We need the data for individual things. If there's regularly things coming in that you're dismissing or getting rid of, then we don't see it. So still tell us about it when you self-moderate, which everyone is encouraged to that has the powers. Yeah. So after this overview, now please everyone listen to Anto. It was the same kind of attention that my dog is giving when I'm holding talks. And yeah, on to Anto.
Okay, thank you, Oli. Thank you, Adam. My part of this talk is about my first year of moderation, because last year, right after RustWeek, Oli contacted me and said, hey, do you want to join the team? We talked about this a little bit because I wasn't sure. I said, Oli, are you sure? And then, but in the end, it worked out, and here we are 1 year later. What is it like, your first year in a moderation team? So I want to point out that, as Oli said, I am in the mods venue team, so I keep an eye on the Rust Git repository mostly, and on Zulip. It is my first moderation experience, so at first you obviously try to observe and see how things work, and then little by little you gain confidence and you become more autonomous in your decisions. You realize quickly that it's not something that you can do on a fixed schedule, because things happen randomly. Something gets posted in a news gathering site, publish room, and then you have a wave of reactions on social media, and then people, according to the time zone, they come to the source and check what's going on. So in a way, one of the things we should try to guarantee is covering mostly the time zones, just to be sure to react if something really if something happens that needs an immediate reaction, so to speak. So, as Oli said, the classical spam is the easy part. You see an advertisement, you see some really obvious bot-driven issue or pull request on GitHub. You click you close the issue, you close the pull request, you ban the user, problem solved. The rest is more interesting. And yeah, as Oli said, a lot of this work happens in background. We cannot really give the right. We don't have a dimension in which we can measure how much work we do, because if you look at how many people are banned or how many comments are collapsed and hidden, that's just the tip of the iceberg. There are all discussions that happen in the background about what to do, when, is it urgent, and so on and so forth. And this is why we have and we need more tooling to support our work, because especially in the last months, we had to start logging heavily our work, because until a few months ago, it was pretty much unstructured. And we realized we needed better tools. So, what are the good parts of being in the moderation team? Let's get into it. So the first thing that comes to my mind, it's this kind of a hive mind, as I like to describe. It's a smaller group of people that discuss things that are not really technical, because we are not talking about a patch or writing a regression test or writing documentation in which the truth is pretty much obvious. We are talking about people, so people are hard. So we try to, sometimes it's a discussion that goes like, hey, what should we do? I would do this. What would you do? What we should do, and how fast we should react. All these questions gives another dimension of introspection to the work that we are doing. And in my opinion, at least for me personally, this creates a bonding with the people within the team, because it makes these people more human, because you are forced to be human, because you are talking about other people, other humans. So in a sense, I feel more close to Oli, Stefan, Jiu, Nora, and the others than some of the other Rust project members with which maybe I interact only on a technical level, because I also help with the compiler team. But that's a completely different thing. Then there is a challenge, because as I mentioned, there is a huge gray area in which you have to figure out what to do. And sometimes the answer is not Boolean. Sometimes you have to go a little bit deeper, you have to do your own research, you have to be patient, wait, check why something happened, why some people came to the issue repository and wrote something that looks weird. So you try to gather a bit more context about these people coming to your place. This leads to be pretty much careful and conscious about what you write. Because when I write something on the GitHub repository, we are on the front line of the project. In that moment, if everyone comes and read that comment, I am the Rust project. Can you imagine? So you have to think deep about what you want to communicate and how. Also, of course, based on the situation. You're trying to make your best guess and dial up the reaction based on the situation. We are human, we make mistakes. But I'm sure you're not here just to hear a nice story. You want to hear about the gory details, right? So here we go. Sometimes I think, what's my contribution in this area of the project? I feel like what I'm doing is just trying to keep the place good as it is and preventing getting worse. So when you fend off bad behaviors that goes from, I don't know, a clueless user that didn't read the documentation to someone having more malicious intent or provocative or disrupting, I don't know. In the end, what you are doing is just protecting some place. I'm not writing code, I'm not writing documentation. It's a bit abstract in which way you are contributing and improving things, because we are just not preventing getting worse. You see what I mean? And sometimes these things happen when you least expect, like because of course you have to do other things in the meanwhile when they happen. So you find yourself getting care of these things maybe when you are not really in your best place. So for example, the other day I was cooking lunch and I was handling a situation on GitHub and I forgot about my that I was cooking my lunch, my Kartoffeln, and so the smoke alarm went off and I had to run in the kitchen and take care of the mess. So thank you so much, dear internet stranger, that you made my life miserable. I don't know that you didn't mean it, but think about it when you come to the Rust project. Yes, entitlement. That's the best one. People having or missing the right context to talk about something, read maybe a title on a news aggregator, and then they read a tweet on the Fediverse, or even worse on Twitter, and they say, whoa, I have opinions. And they come to the, I don't know, to the Zulip, or more easily on the GitHub repository, and they vent their opinions. And sometimes I understand this, but sometimes things are a bit harder and a bit more, I don't know, deep than they look. So it's difficult to tell these people, hey, you don't know the full story. I understand, I see what you mean, but please take some time to dig deeper. But I also realize at the same time that sometimes it's not easy or possible at all for this person to investigate deep into a topic and then come and give their opinion. In this regard, while I was writing these slides, I was thinking about this talk that I watched a while ago about the maintainer and creator of the Elm programming language, Evan, or whatever, and it's really interesting. If you have time, please watch it, because it's about how to be an open source maintainer. What are the hard parts, as the title of the talk says. And then there is the best, because sometimes you find yourself confronting yourself. There is a discussion, you have opinions, and still your role says no, you have to keep this place, the discussion civil. You have to step back from yourself and think about if some comments are in general disrupting, even though you agree with them. So you see people coming to your place expressing hard opinions, strong opinions, and you say, hey, I agree, but please don't do this here. So it's an exercise you have to do and figure out how to react to these people. And sometimes it's hard because you agree, but you cannot be two persons at a time. You cannot be yourself and the moderator. So, moving forward, what's ahead for us? As Oli hinted, we had pretty much more work than expected in the last months. So we started thinking about getting some funding because nobody from us has the capacity to give much more than we are giving right now. And tooling is also another question. So there are two sides of this question: time from people and tooling. Thanks to Urgao and Jakub, for example, the tooling that we can use really improved, and we are so grateful for that because it made our work much easier. But we need to keep talking about this because I don't know. We feel that we should improve our structure as a small team. If you want to add something about this, if you have thoughts.
Well, the tooling is the one part. The other part is we need to also figure out how to proactively structure the ways we act in the project, the rules, how the moderation team is doing things. So if we just react to events coming in, we can try to have more tooling, we can try to have more people, but at some point we need to make sure that there's less coming in. We need to figure out how to do that, how to structure our project in ways that this is not just something that is draining the moderators. I don't want to lose any of my co-moderators just because it's getting too much or something. So we're trying to figure out through, for example, the Rust Foundation Maintainer Fund, or we're talking with the Leadership Council, whether we can structure some funds to some of our moderators to make sure that they can spend more time or spend focused time on actually doing these hard things that are not something you just as a volunteer would end up doing on your own.
Yesterday I was approached from a person that works in an open source project, and we talked a little bit about moderation and how to keep your place clean and manageable. So I think to this person I would say there's no secret sauce. You just need people doing this work and doing it in some way that is sensible and respectful, but also effective. Because as we all know, it takes not much to make a place worse. It just needs one person. And then sometimes you have to react fast because before people pile on. So that's a bit what Oli also says. Be more proactive than react. And that's what we'll try to figure out. And I think that's all. Thank you for listening to our talk.
Thank you, Antonio. Thank you, Oli. And thank you to all the moderators. I know some of the other moderators are in the room as well, so I know we'll really appreciate that. Antonio and Oli would be very happy to take questions. I'm actually going to abuse my privilege and ask one first, but I do see you. Oli, tell me more about your dog while I take the mic over there.
Well, sadly, my dog passed away last Friday, but it's better than this week because I can be here. I was able to say goodbye, but that's why you got lots of dog pictures.
I'm a moderator on the Rust community Discord, and we've had quite a bit of cooperation in the past. But I have quite a few questions, but I can start talking about mod burnout, because that is one of the biggest things that tend to be an issue for moderators. You talked about paying moderators so they can feel less stressed about that, but then there are quite often getting threats from people, and then guilt of not acting on moderation things because you feel exhausted and not in the right mindset. But then you would have to wait for another moderator to do something, and then you feel bad because you don't handle the situation. And then also generally the lack of positive feedback that moderation tends to get for doing things, especially in the background.
Yeah, I can very much relate to that, considering the chaos that happened in social media last Friday. It's part of the thing is we need to make sure that the other mods feel ready to do things on their own. It's like there's still some sense of like you want to make sure that the other mods agree with you on some things, but sometimes things are happening fast, and it is better to over moderate while giving the option to revert that. A lot of these things are two-way doors. So it's every time we block someone, we give them the option to contact moderation. Every time we warn someone, we say, chat with us, like, let's figure this out together. And oftentimes we just don't do either. We just reach out to the person and be like, this was uncool. Like, this is not a moderation warning. I'm being explicit. Like, this is not a warning. This is just like, we need to figure out how to do this better in the future. And moving it into a conversation is really helpful, because either you get a really good response, or you can just grab the banhammer and be like, this is not working out. So yes, getting better procedures for yourself to be able to just manage the situation while not having, like, just being able to follow procedure sometimes is useful for when you're not in the right headspace, or when there's no other mod available and you just need to do something.
So it's a follow-up on that. For things that aren't quite as clear procedurally, are you recording past decisions and stuff to refer to in the future?
That's one thing we've started doing really properly this year, but trying to do last year, and before that it was basically just two mods having a very long DM thread and some private Zulip thread where stuff was happening, and it was not sustainable, because while we knew, oh, we did something similar a while ago, like let's look this up or something, searching through this entire history is bad. So now we have a lot more structure. We have some good tooling around it. We're linking things to names, to events, there's dates in there. The GitHub bans, we enter like links back into our data. So yeah, keeping track of things is really useful. Especially like if it's just a random one-off thing where you're like, oh, nothing really important happened there, just still warning the person or something, and then you realize later, oh, okay, you should be doing something more. You see that now because you have the actual data connected. So yeah, writing things down is really helpful, but writing things down manually just doesn't work out. You need tooling that manages this for you. And that's one of the things I mentioned earlier, like the users forum, the discourse forums. They are really good at that. And I know Discord has some features, but it's not very good at it. Zulip they recently added something useful, but it's still not that good. Our tooling fixes those holes, but GitHub is just like, I don't know, there's basically nothing there that helps us.
Thank you. Maybe if someone else has questions.
Up there. Oh, over there.
Yeah, I was wondering if you have any training that you do either for moderators or for, say, the wider community about how to self-moderate or things like that.
So that's one of the things we want to tackle if one of our mods actually has like proper time and some funding to either go to trainings themselves and then teach us about it and so on. It's like we are mostly just like self-trained, and it's not the best way to go about this, but it's the thing we have, and that's working. So yeah, we need to get better at that. We're chatting with other moderators who have more experience, not like sometimes even professional experience, that they can explain the things properly to us, that we know how to go about some things. But in general, we're just trying to show a lot of empathy to people, and when that fails, then I don't think it's working. It's a very mixed bag, because then, as was said, sometimes this goes with you because you're just like, did I make the right decision? Like, figuring all that out, it's hard, and doing it better with not necessarily professional help, but learning it through professional help is definitely something we're looking into.
One of the things I hear about a lot is people think that talking to moderation is a penalty, like just even talking to you at all. Do you have ideas for how to get rid of that stigma so people come to you first before things blow up?
It's part of the reason we try to have this split where the team moderation is focused on mediation. We weren't sure yet how to label all that correctly because people are used to like contact mods. But we want to have a group where you're like, go to them when you have problems. They might not be other person's doing something wrong. They might be you have a problem with how other people are doing it. Like or it's just like you feel uncomfortable somewhere, but you don't really. It's not a code of conduct violation. It's just like something is you're struggling with. We want you to reach out to us with that because it might be that multiple people are having the same issue in a certain space. Even people that you're having an issue with. It might just be the space that's the problem. It might not be the people at all. So contact us, talk with us. We can help you figure these things out. And if not, we can give you contact to the right people that can do it. Like what a lot of people do is they reach out to the team leads of their teams, which also works really well because worst case they reach out to us and we figure things out together. But yeah, it's definitely. Reaching out to moderation is not that you're putting a target on someone. Reaching out to moderation is that you are saying you have an issue here and we want to help you fix it. It's not something that you can just talk about in public. Come to us. That's the right space.
Hi. Thanks for the insight. I was wondering, with all the hard things that you have to do in the conversations, where are you taking your energy from, and how do you prevent it from draining? And then the second question is also with the talk that we heard yesterday from Taylor Kramer about empathy. I think it's a nice goal to show that, and I think. I do not have a lot of experience in how to show that in written communication. I was wondering what your learnings are and your advices for being compassionate and showing empathy in written conversation, even in those asynchronous settings over time zones.
So one thing that I've had to learn because I've done this wrongly is including a bunch of my internal thoughts that I didn't think were necessary for communicating the actual thing I want to communicate, but that help people understand why I'm communicating it. So sometimes I'm just including to people like what I'm thinking about the situation and why, for example, I might be going against my own biases or something, even though like I agree with the person on like the technical part maybe, but like I include these things, and this helps people because they're like, okay, I did this, I went about this the wrong way, even though it might be the right thing to argue for, but like you can argue for things in different ways, and this has really we've seen some people significantly improve with their communication just by telling them like how it makes us feel, how it or like when we agree with them, like why we are still reaching out to them and telling them, no, don't do this. Being more open about your own thoughts about it, that helps people in asynchronous communication understand why you're doing something.
In addition to that, people sometimes forget that we are an open source project, so you have to approach people in a different way on both sides. There is no working relationship between us. We are not paid to pay attention to your issue. You are not paid maybe to fix our or follow our thought process. It's just working together in a situation which is not typical, maybe. So in some way, I second what Oli says about being empathic and what you also said. Think about where you are and what the work that we are doing. And I don't know, maybe this can be taught in some way, but it comes from you, from your life experience, from your past experience, I don't know.
Okay, anyone else? Yep. We've got a couple of minutes.
Yeah, hi again. So one thing that is a bit of a struggle, especially on platforms that don't support it, is how to distinguish between talking as a moderator and talking as a regular user. Because quite often what you say as a regular user can be interpreted as official or, yeah.
So this was basically one of the first mistakes I did in the first week of being a moderator. I told someone that what they were doing was a problem, and not necessarily a problem per se, but it was making work for us without giving them any benefit. Like the thing they've written doesn't benefit anyone, but it causes us work. And the way I wrote it, they felt it was a warning. And I didn't communicate that, like, sure, I'm reaching out as a mod, but not as a you're doing something really problematic. So being very clear about what I'm doing. Like I usually include in the first sentence, like this is not a moderation warning, or this is a moderation, like, or I'm not reaching out at a moderator, or this is my personal opinion. Like I keep adding these disclaimers to things just to make it much more clear. And I also ask people like what they're thinking about the thing. So it's a feedback loop. It's a problem when it's completely public, of course. Like when you're just posting in a public thread something, that's a different situation. You want to be a normal member of the community and just write your normal things, but sometimes you need to also be like, moderate a note, something is happening. And I think it just needs to be clear that when you're not actually actively including it, that it's just you being a normal person. I have tried in other situations to do multi-accounting and something to manage this, but it's not good.
One side comment, as Oli has already been praising discourse. I think discourse is also doing a nice thing there where you can mark a comment as like being a staff comment. So it's also a tooling issue that it's harder to mark whether what you write as a member or representing the moderation or side of things. But yeah, depending on the channel, if it's PM or if it's we work around that, and we should generally try to make that clear to the reader. I think another thing on this note is we're probably lacking feedback a little bit. So like we do things like that and then assume it works, and it's not 100% like, for example, our team restructuring. I think the naming is too confusing, and I think most people I talk to actually don't really understand the structure. So I think we should probably also get more feedback. I'm not quite sure yet what the way is about that, but
yeah, we usually
we're having a conversation here as well. People asking questions. It's not every day.
We usually only get negative feedback, so this is why I was also like, let's do a talk about moderation, so people actually see like the things we can actually talk about and get feedback like from these questions. So yeah, it's getting positive feedback. We sometimes get it, but like it's mostly like, oh, thanks or something, like that something worked out well, but it's just like often it's just like there's little response or there's complaints about the way we handle something.
I think we're going to have to leave it there because we're at time. Thank you once again to Oli and Antonio.